Hey everybody, this is going to be kind of a twofer. Um, the first thing we're going to review is the Microprose B-17G, the Flying Fortress that you can get from JustFlight. But I recently also purchased some VKB gear to replace my other flight stick, and I did get a GNX THQ, which is a throttle quadrant, and a Gladiator NXT Evo with the World War II combat stick. Um, I'm still getting used to those, but they are a lot of fun, and you can definitely tell the difference. So we can just hop in right away with the B-17G. You can see it here. I will preface this by saying this is their early access release. It is a given that there are bugs in this, but it's probably also a good idea to kind of get a baseline of where it is right now. So, looking at it, let's open its configuration. There is only one variant. Most of the information besides cruise and range is not filled out. You have different models, but as you can see, this one is missing the texture on the engines. This one's missing the texture on the engines. Green is actually a complete texture. Humpty Dumpty is missing, well, pretty much everything. Argal Cell is missing the engine textures. So green it is, because I am not going out there with no engine textures. That looks fine. Alright. Well, let's do a quick flight with it, and let's start off on a landing pad. And let's ascend a route. I think this will start us in the right place and set ourselves to the middle of the day so we can actually see what we are doing. Now while we load in, I will say the Gladiator NXT Evo, it is a lot more work to set up. It is not as plug and play as some systems, but I do really like it. It is very smooth once you get it dialed in just so. And there we go. So for the V1 release, or at least for this release, I do believe they said it had 4K textures. I'm not gonna dog on the textures. Like, it looks good when the textures are present, which on this model is only on the green color, is present. So I can hardly complain about that. I think overall, yeah, this looks very good. Now, one thing I will say, and we can go ahead and enter. Also, we can probably go under it. Oh, we're too big. There we go, just under the wing. Do you see that? There is, here by the bomb hatches, is kind of a glitch that lets you see through it. We'll go into that in a little bit. The cockpit itself, it has a lot of controls, and a lot of them are non-functional at this point in time. So if you buy it and you want to do a cold start, like the absolute best of luck to you. It is pretty much impossible right now. So we'll do a quick start and just get it running and watch from the outside. That smoke texture could use a little work, but it's not bad. And if you look right here, well, you can't see my mouse, but if you look through the forward nose gunner, you're actually looking at the ground. You see the silver sliver behind him, or gray sliver behind him. The same happens, let's see, when we go to midway. where there is a roof gunner, you see a weird stitch there. That's not right. Something there is not working the way it's supposed to. Let's see if we can put the flaps down. And they do, in fact, go down. Wonderful. Let's pretend like we don't know how radios work. And go ahead and get ourselves onto the runway, and we'll do a quick flight with it. I will say that my sound is set to 65% of the original volume. I'm not sure if we're going to actually make this turn, which would be somewhat hilarious. My sound is set to 65% of the original volume, so what you're hearing is just a somewhat muted version of that. Give it a little throttle and just see if it wants to clear that building. If not, whoops, my bad. I haven't fully mapped every single key yet onto my new flight stick, which makes life a little bit more interesting. One of them is the reverse thrust as well, or the reverse propeller. I will say the VKB gear, it operates so much more smoothly. I don't know how to describe it, but it's... When they say smooth as butter, that is literally what it feels like. It's very interesting. If I remember right, the B-17 is no flaps on takeoff? Or half flaps? I don't remember. It doesn't matter, we'll get it up in the air one way or another. Painful as it might get. Now, keep in mind again that this is just the beta, but it is for sale for $33 on JustFlight. $33 is a lot of money for most people, I'd say. After release, supposedly it jumps up to $40, which again is a lot of money. There's going to be someone leaving a comment saying, well, actually, any build charges $100 for their airplanes. I get it, but this should be an accessible hobby. It's already very expensive as it is. So normalizing essentially a beta to be a paid beta for $33 is a little on the rough side. Now, the roadmap provides, after this initial release, which is the plane that you're seeing now, that there are 3 updates before the final release. These 3 updates are spaced 2 weeks apart each, so it's like an agile development thing. Each update, as it is printed on the roadmap right now, has the exact same items listed. So update 1, bug fixes, texture improvement, system updates. Update 2, bug fixes, texture improvement, system updates. Update 3, you guessed it, bug fixes, texture improvements, and system updates. As it stands for this version, I did map the key to just flip every single light on the airplane on, which I just did. You can see on the wings are the landing lights. They are not on. None of the lights, as far as I can tell, work at this time. So if you plan to do any night flying with it at this time, don't get it until the lights are turned on. Oh god, now I gotta turn this thing around. Because this is a short runway, so we're gonna need all of the space, which is fine. We're just gonna do a loopy-loop around. If you've been watching the a central, at the back of the wings, there is a machine gunner port. If you've been watching that, you'll have seen the ground slip under it and be visible several times while going across the runway. Keep an eye on that when we take off as well. It's not the ball turret that's on top, it's the turret behind it. The one that faces back. In fact, when we get lined up, I'll just zoom in on it so that you know exactly which one I'm talking about. God, this is a turn radius. But you can see it's a fairly short runway, so I kind of need all of that space to begin with. Let's pump the brakes here for a moment. And right there, perfect example. Let's go ahead and you can see the white stripe of the runway through the plane. When we started, you could see underneath it here is the bomb bay doors. And you can see the textures change as you get closer or further away. I think the issue is with the bomb bay doors themselves. That should get fixed. So yeah, no lights, some texture issues, but let's see if this thing will fly, because that's what it's made for, right? Let's give it the beans real gentle like. Well, it sure takes off. Let's take a quick look at the landing gear. And while I hold the stick, because there is no autopilot here, so I don't want to crash. Well, it does what it's supposed to. Missing hatch for the... Is there supposed to be a hatch here? Or is it supposed to be in the open? I feel like I should fact check myself on that and see if there was. Don't tell the FAA, but I'm flying with my phone in my hand. I just find it odd that the rear landing gear does not have a hatch or anything covering it. Also enjoy the French landscape. No, it doesn't look like it had a cover. So, there's not a missing cover. There's just not supposed to be a cover, from the looks of it. That's very odd. I think at that at the high altitudes it could fly at, it would have a cover over it. that one just has it hanging out. Okay, I have a picture of its undersight in flight. It does indeed not have a rear cover, so I take that back. No need for a rear cover on that. Oh, you are now watching, if you look at the tail of the airplane, directly through the airplane itself. Oof. As a reminder too, this is not a streamed airplane. This is just installed as is. It definitely struggles a little bit. Looking around the cockpit, like I mentioned, there are a lot of buttons. I'm 100% convinced that they will add them in. But as it stands, most of them are inoperable. You can see the hover icons are giving you nothing. Not even for the gears. I can click on the clipboard, but I cannot seem to... Yeah, I can just pull the clipboard up, that's it. I can't actually click anything on it. Crew is not visible in the cockpit, but it was visible while we were on the outside here. See, you are looking at the bomb hatch or something over there. Something in there is causing... See, I'm hyper-focused on that one piece where you just look through the plane. And I'm completely missing the point because it is flying real easy, real smooth. So the flight model is great. I do believe you can set the... you can't set it in the cockpit, it looks like. But I was able to set the elevator trim before, just to get kind of a steady climb. Reasonably made it up to about 25,000 feet before it became problematic. I believe it has a surface ceiling of like 35,000 feet. So it's supposed to be able to go a little bit higher, but it struggles to get above 25. That is Paris. We can drop some altitude. We'll start going a little bit lower. We'll head to the north side where there's an airfield. Honestly, I will say the sound is really good. The model's really detailed. The same goes for the detail in the cockpit itself. Like, the detail's there. They just need to fill out the buttons. No lights was a little startling. They just don't turn on or off for me. They do promise updates every 2 weeks. I'll wait to see what comes in 2 weeks. I'll have to keep tabs on it. I'm not sure how they distribute those updates when they're installed. If I need to re-download it from the website and reinstall it again, or if I'm just okay with updating through Flight Simulator 24 itself. I presume I'm going to have to download an update for it, but I'll have to... Since its initial release, though, I mean, it flies. That's better than most initial releases. Hell, that's better than M Scenery to begin with. The model's fantastic. you get the lights working, fix some of the textures. You've already got like 90% of a functional plane right there. Is that the airport? Yes, it is. Why don't we just hook left here? What I will say is, and someone might have a suggestion for this. So I put the Gladiator NXT and I hooked it up together with the throttle quadrant, so they're both on a clip that's attached to the desk. And I really like that setup because the stick is actually, you know, like kind of in the middle of where you're sitting. The problem is it pushes me a little bit further away from my desk. And the Gladiator does not have a rotating button that you can use to adjust your view. So I'm very curious how people do their view tracking, if they just use their webcam and software to do view tracking so you can look around without having to use the mouse. As it stands, I just use the mouse. But it's kind of the only way I can get that to work. Also, I think we are dropping way too much speed right now. Yes, we are. There we go. There is an airport. We're not going to ask for clearance because we're just test flying it anyways. But honestly, I love anything that's World War II and that intermediary period from like the 50s, 60s into the 70s. Planes were just cool at that time. And I really like that someone's actually making this kind of stuff, because the Microsoft store is pretty barren when it comes to that, except for a few low quality models. I'm gonna have to give it the beans a little bit more, or we're just about to crash. I think it has a lot of potential. I think the price tag as it is right now is kind of a massive hurdle for most people. I can't complain because I'm just frivolously spending on this because I enjoy it. But I totally recognize that for most people, it's a lot of money to sink into what is essentially a beta that is still full of bugs. That said, if it comes out and it's $40 on release, and they added everything that they're supposed to be adding, proper lighting, all the buttons in the cockpit can be pressed, the textures are updated, I'm not missing any nacelle textures from the engines. Honestly, that is kind of a $40 plane. Because at that point you can justify with the amount of development work that will have gone into it. Absolutely. We're about to crash. There we go. Like I said, the price tag is hard to swallow for most people. Which is why I don't blame anyone who sees this and goes like, why would you spend $33 on this? Completely valid take. Let's see if we can land without crashing. Or crash without landing. We'll figure out which of the two it is. Yeah, it's not the worst landing. Oh my god, it pulls hard to the right. Let's go ahead and brake, 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 brake. Honestly, shortest landing I've ever seen with this thing. That's pretty good. It should have an unlockable rear wheel for taxiing. As it stands, that is not what it does. These turning radiuses are ridiculous because you're just kind of on the rudder only here. Let's go ahead and give it a park here. Honestly, I really like it. My biggest challenge with this is just the initial release. $32 or $33 at this point is hard to swallow for most people. I don't blame people not wanting to buy it right now. If they are going to hold to their development schedule, which is a new update every 2 weeks, meaning they have a roadmap with update 1, 2, and 3, meaning that in 6 weeks, which puts us at is that about the end of... That's about Thanksgiving. So, give or take about Thanksgiving, the end of November, they should have their first proper release. Do I think that's doable? Yeah, it is, but it might be a little tight. I would say maybe let's expect that the full release will be around Christmas. And if it is around Christmas at $40, I don't know, man. I think that'd make one hell of a Christmas gift. So yeah, that's my conclusion. Skip it for now. Buy it when it actually comes out in its full V1 version and all of the bugs are hashed out. And you will probably really love this plane. Alright, that's it for me for tonight. See ya.